This video is designed to give referee coaches an idea of potential ways for the online game observation sheet to be used. For those of you that haven't watched the first video, basically the process is that games observed by the referee coach, they enter their comments and their ratings in the appropriate areas, and with internet access they hit the submit button and off goes the reports. It can be done on any electronic device basically. You can do it straight away during the game, after the game, or there are prepared game notes that will help you jot down points for you to add into the form at a later date. After you hit the submit button, you, the coach, get a full report. The referees get individualised reports, one each, and if required, the data can be accumulated into an admin spreadsheet automatically. The sheet itself online starts off looking like so, with each of these areas expandable by clicking on the arrow on the right hand side, and the theory is that you would expand the area, fill out the thing, close it up, so it doesn't just happen to be a long list you sort of never get to the end of. The game sheet that is on paper version is just like so, where you can write down information to enter into the form later. The form details are fairly important. We've highlighted here the referee license and referee coach license number. These are important because they're going to refer back to our database, which is based on license numbers. So your license number and the referee license numbers are going to be an important feature moving into the future, because most of our stuff will be related to your license number. So please try and get people used to remembering and giving you their license numbers. In the initial stages, we might provide lists to referee coaches, but over time we'd expect that people come to know their license number as a matter of course. Name's pretty straightforward. Similar comments go to email addresses. They have to be entered accurately, because that's what the system is going to try and send a report to, and if you've misspelt the email address, the report won't arrive. Similarly, as the email addresses are entered here, they'll be cross-referenced again against our data in our database, and if there's any changes, we will update it to be the latest information. When you enter the game information, that's the next section. There's a little calendar that's circled. If you click on the calendar, you can just pick the day. You don't have to enter the day, the month, the year manually. Time is drop-down menus, and then you select which league, VJBL, Big V, etc., the division, the age group, and the team names. Then we'll into referee ratings. Each one of these little drop-down boxes in the 8 areas as listed are out of 5. So you simply go down, click on the box, and give the person 5 to 1 as the rating. 5 is excellent, 1 is needs improvement, and 4, 3, 2, 1 are of course on the scale. Another area of rating is the game difficulty, a very subjective decision, but at whatever particular time you want to say into the game, you rank the game as being a difficult game to handle, a pretty average game with not much pressure, or an easy game where really there was not much going at all, no pressure on the referees, and you do that for both of them. The referee ratings are basically on how you felt they went overall. There are criterion given there indicating their performance possibilities on a scale of 1 to 7, and you enter that for each referee by again clicking on the drop-down menus. The last one is just how the game appeared relative to the referees. Were they tested? Did they show leadership it was required? Did they display a good attitude to the game, and so forth? These are just other things that you can give a subjective opinion upon. So there are 4 basic areas where the referees are rated or commented made about them and given a number, but only 2 of them will be used to give the referee ranking at the end of the season. That's the game difficulty, which is out of 3, and the overall rating, which is out of 7. This gives a mark out of 10, and this is the mark that we use at the end of the season to give them ranking. And potentially we could publish mid-season rankings as well, because the system updates itself automatically. Numbers are always an issue. Let's look at some examples. Bob and Mary are on this game. It was a average sort of game. Bob did a bit better than Mary, made a few errors, better court mechanics and so forth. So he got a 5, she got a 3, and on the game was a 2. So the totals are 7 and 5, pretty straightforward. another game, Tom and Louise, easy game, but Louise killed it, got the best you can possibly get, which is 7. So she got 8. So that shows that if you have an easy game, the best you're going to get is 8. Whereas Tom didn't do that well. He's on the easy game, he got a 3, giving him a total of 4. Similar situation, Alexia and Zoltan. It's a really hard game. Alexia absolutely killed him, did a fantastic job. She got a 10. And Zoltan didn't do all that good. He found it a bit hard, but on a difficult game, he ended up with a 6. So that sort of gives you an idea of the possible ranges. As the season progresses, Bob and Marion, etc., will be getting marks on each of their games, and they'll be averaged. This mark here is what will be used to rank them in their appropriate panels. Now, the question always comes up about what happens about people who get lots and lots of evaluations compared to people who don't get that many. Let's look at Alexia. She's got 10 rankings over the season so far, whereas Mary's only got 5. Now, statistically speaking, it's more possible for Mary to get a lower mark, I suppose, or you could argue both ways, but what we're going to say is if you get a relatively small number of evaluations, we're going to leave out the lowest one. If you get a large number of evaluations, we'll leave out the last one and the biggest one. So you'll get a series of numbers that will look more like so. Now, as you see, Mary's number actually increases a little bit, whereas Alexia's didn't change that much at all. But at least it does reflect the fact that Mary's small number was early in the season. On one hand, she's improved as she's gone along, so it's probably a more realistic result for Mary. Let's look at this game, where pretty easy game. Tom got a 3, so he didn't do all that good a job, giving me an overall rating of 4, which is not all that good. Whereas Louise did a fantastic job, got the best you can get, but it was an easy game, so she ended up with an 8. Now, when the system records their marks in the general game performance area, you'll see Tom got 4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, which is a bit of a concern, and alarm bells would ring, because that sort of a performance is pretty damn good, yet overall he only got a 4. Now, when the bell rings, is because there is a disparity between the total that Tom got and the mark that he got, and the system will automatically ring a bell when there's a range difference between them. We would call up the referee coach in question and ask them to change it, so perhaps a more realistic total might be something like so, where they're much smaller, in total only 19, which is more reflective of a mark of 4. And given that there's such a relatively poor performance, we would expect that in the areas to work on, Tom would have some comments, and the general comment area, Tom would have a comment there as well. There's an area to type in feedback to admin. This doesn't go to the officials, it just goes to the referee coach and to the administration of the league. So you can type in here concerns that you had about the game, like Tom had considerably difficulty handling the intensity of this game. So the person doing the rostering would know to make sure if Tom was on that level game again, he was with a very strong referee, or perhaps we avoided putting Tom on that level for a while until he picked up. We could comment about the coach being aggressive and intimidating referees. That can be followed up by the league. We might make a comment about reportings being made, or technical fouls being called, or the court presenter was critical of the officials, etc. Anything like that you could add in there. Now, it's important to note this is obviously our first trial at online evaluations. We don't claim the system to be perfect, and I have no doubt that we'll be modifying it within reason as we go along, and certainly with a view to improving it for coming seasons. So we welcome your input. Please don't expect fundamental and basic changes straight away. We'll be sticking with what we basically have for at least the mid-season, and we'll see how we go after that. But as I said, feedback is welcome. Any comments to help would be much appreciated. Thank you.